The great council hall was filled with beings from across the galaxy. 7 different alien species sat in their special chairs, each one built for their unique bodies. The air buzzed with translation devices that helped everyone understand each. The Zephyrians looked like tall glass people. Light passed through their crystal skin, making them shine in the dim room. They were the smartest species in the galaxy, and everyone knew it. They had built computers that could think faster than any living mind. Next to them sat the Vorticons. These reptile-like creatures had thick green scales and sharp claws. They controlled all the military forces in the galaxy. Their ships were the biggest, and their weapons were the strongest. No one dared to fight them. The Chitauri looked like giant insects with 6 arms and large black eyes. They ran all the trade between planets. If you wanted to buy or sell anything in space, you had to deal with them first. Money and profit were all they cared about. In the center of the room stood a very old creature. His name was Keth, and he belonged to the precursor race. His people were the first to travel between stars, long before any of the others had even learned to fly. But now there were very few of them left. Most had died of old age, and no new ones were being born. Keth's body shook as he tried to speak. His voice was weak, but urgent. He had called this emergency meeting, and everyone wondered why. "You must listen to me," Keth said, his words carried by the translation machines to every corner of the room. "There is a danger coming, a threat that none of you understand." The leader of the Zephyrians, a tall crystal being named Zix, made a sound like breaking glass. This was how his people laughed. "Old Keth, your mind grows weak with age. What could possibly threaten our great civilization? We have ruled the galaxy for thousands of years." "The humans," Keth said simply. The room fell silent for a moment, then erupted in more laughter-like sounds from different species. The Vortec General, a massive reptile called Scar, slapped his scaly hand on his chair. "The humans?" Scar hissed. "Those tiny pink creatures on that little blue planet? They can barely fly to their own moon. They fight each other with fire and metal. They are not even worth our attention." But Keth did not give up. "I know you think this way. That is exactly why they are dangerous. My people studied them long ago, when they were even more primitive than now. We watched them for hundreds of their years." "And what did you see that scares you so much?" asked the Chitauri trade leader, clicking his mandibles together in amusement. Keth's old eyes grew distant as he remembered. "We saw them do impossible things. When we first found them, they were living in caves and hunting animals with sharp sticks. We thought they would never amount to anything." "Sounds about right," Zix said, his crystal body glowing brighter with amusement. "But then something happened," Keth continued. "The ice came. Their whole world became cold and dark. Most species would have died, but the humans did not die. They learned to make fire bigger and better. They learned to work together in ways we had never seen. They did not just survive the Ice Age. They became stronger because of it." General Scar waved his clawed hand dismissively. "So they can survive cold weather. How impressive." "You do not understand," Keth said, his voice growing stronger with frustration. "Every challenge made them better. When they had no metal, they learned to make it from rocks. When they had no food, they learned to grow it from tiny seeds. When they got sick, they learned to make medicine from plants. This is how all species develop," said the Zephyrian leader. "There is nothing special about this." "No," Keth said firmly. "Other species adapt slowly, over many generations. Humans adapt quickly, sometimes in just one lifetime. And they do something else that no other species does." "What is that?" asked a delegate from the Aquatic Federation, speaking through a water-filled helmet. "They help their weak members survive instead of letting them die." An old human who cannot hunt anymore will teach the young ones how to make better weapons. A sick human will figure out new ways to heal others. They turn every weakness into a strength somehow. The room was getting restless. These beings had important business to discuss, like trade routes and territory disputes. They did not want to waste time talking about primitive humans, but Keth was not finished. My people tried to make contact with them in secret. We used our best invisibility technology. We had been hiding from other species for thousands of years without ever being detected. And Zix asked impatiently, they found us anyway. Somehow, these primitive humans with their simple tools figured out we were watching them. They set traps for us. They changed their behavior to confuse our studies. A species that had never seen advanced technology was outsmarting us. Impossible. General Scar said, "Your people must have made mistakes." "That is what we thought too," Keth replied. "So we tried a different approach. We decided to guide their development slowly, in small ways. We would help them discover fire earlier, or give them hints about growing food. Just tiny pushes to see how they would react." "And they accepted your help?" asked the Chitauri leader, interested now because this sounded like a business opportunity. "No," Keth said sadly. "They resisted, even when our help would have made their lives easier. They somehow sensed that it was not natural. They would find different ways to solve their problems, ways that we had not thought of, ways that were often better than what we had planned to show them." The council members were starting to look uncomfortable. The idea that a primitive species could resist or outsmart the advanced precursors was disturbing. "But surely they are still far behind us now," Zix said. "Our computers show that they have only just begun to explore their own solar system. They are fighting wars with chemical explosives. They cannot even agree on how to govern their own planet." Keth nodded slowly. "Yes, they fight among themselves. But do you know what happens when they fight?" "They kill each other?" General Scar suggested hopefully. "They learn," Keth said. "Every war teaches them new ways to organize, new technologies, new strategies. Their conflicts do not weaken them over time. Their conflicts make them stronger and smarter." The old precursor moved closer to the center of the room. "I have seen species that were peaceful and unified. I have seen species that were warlike and violent. But I have never seen a species that uses conflict itself as a tool for growth the way humans do." "What exactly are you asking us to do?" Zix demanded. "Stay away from them," Keth pleaded. "Do not make contact. Do not try to trade with them. Do not let them know that we exist. Give them time to develop slowly, on their own. Maybe in a few thousand years, they will be ready to join galactic civilization peacefully." The Chitauri trade leader leaned forward. "But think of the profit opportunities. New biological compounds, unique art forms, fresh perspectives on old problems." "That is exactly the wrong approach," Keth warned. "Contact with us will not make them grateful customers. It will make them curious, and curious humans are the most dangerous humans of all." The council voted quickly. Only Keth voted to avoid contact with humanity. The other 6 species all voted to treat humans as just another primitive world that could be useful to them. As the meeting ended, Keth approached the Chitauri leader privately. "Please," he begged one last time, "at least be careful. Do not give them any advanced technology. Do not show them that faster-than-light travel is possible. Keep them in their own solar system for as long as you can." The Chitauri leader clicked his mandibles in what might have been agreement, but his eyes were already calculating profit margins. Keth left the council hall knowing he had failed. The warning was given. The warning was ignored. Now he could only wait and hope that he was wrong about the humans. But deep in his ancient heart, he knew he was not wrong. The humans were coming, whether the galaxy was ready or not. 3 years had passed since the council meeting where Keth tried to warn everyone about humans. The galaxy had moved on to other concerns, and most aliens had forgotten about the small blue planet called Earth. But the humans had not forgotten. About reaching for the stars, Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the horizon, Earth's newest and most advanced spaceship. It was not much compared to what other species might build, but it was the best that humanity could create. The ship was flying past Neptune, farther from Earth than any human had ever traveled before. Jake was a quiet man with steady hands and sharp eyes. He had been chosen to lead this mission because he stayed calm under pressure. The crew trusted him, and he had never let them down. "Captain," called out Lieutenant Amy Parker from her station. "I'm picking up something strange on the sensors." Amy was the ship's tactical officer. She was young but very smart, and she had a talent for finding patterns that others missed. Her fingers moved quickly over her controls as she tried to make sense of what she was seeing. "What kind of strange?" Jake asked, walking over to look at her screen. "There's something out there, but it's not showing up clearly. It's like the sensors can see it, but not see it at the same time." Jake studied the readings. They made no sense according to everything humans knew about space. Could it be a malfunction? "I don't think so, Captain. All our systems are working fine. But there's definitely something there." Unknown to the humans, they were absolutely right. The Chitauri ship Prophet Seeker was floating nearby, completely hidden by advanced cloaking technology. The ship was enormous, compared to the tiny human vessel, bristling with weapons and shields that could destroy entire cities. Hive leader Zach commanded the Chitauri ship. He was a typical member of his species, caring only about profit and trade opportunities. He had come to the human solar system to survey what resources might be useful to harvest. "The primitive humans cannot possibly detect us," Zach clicked. To his crew, "Our cloaking technology is thousands of years ahead of their simple sensors." But the Chitauri were wrong. Amy Parker was not just looking at normal sensor readings. She was using a new technique that human scientists had developed, combining different types of scans in ways that no other species had ever tried. "Captain," Amy said, her voice getting more excited, "I think I know what it is. If I'm right, we're looking at some kind of ship with stealth technology." Jake felt his heart beat faster. "Are you saying we're not alone out here?" "I'm saying we might have company, and they don't want us to know about it." Jake thought for a moment. This was the biggest moment in human history, but it was also potentially the most dangerous. He made a decision that would change everything. "Open a communication channel," he ordered. "All frequencies." The communications officer, a man named Pete Collins, looked surprised. "Sir, we don't know if anyone is listening." "That's exactly why we're going to find out," Jake said. "If there's someone out there, it's time we met properly." Jake activated the ship's main communication system. His voice was broadcast into space in every direction, using radio waves, light signals, and every other method humans had for sending messages. "Unknown vessel, this is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earthship Horizon. Please identify yourself and state your intentions in our solar system." On the Chitauri ship, alarms started ringing. Zach could not believe what he was hearing. These primitive creatures had not only detected his ship, but were demanding that he identify himself. "Impossible," Zach clicked angrily. "They must be guessing. There is no way their technology can penetrate our cloaking." But his crew was already showing him the sensor readings. The human ship was pointing directly at them, and their communication beam was focused exactly on their position. Zach realized that hiding was no longer possible. If these humans could find him, then they were more advanced than the galaxy had believed. He decided to show them exactly who they were dealing with. "Decloak the ship," he ordered. "Let them see what real power looks like." The Chitauri vessel slowly became visible. It was massive, 10 times larger than the human ship, with weapons that glowed with deadly energy. Its hull was covered in armor that could withstand attacks from the most powerful weapons in the galaxy. On the horizon, the crew stared in amazement and fear. They had dreamed of meeting aliens, but this ship looked like it was built for war. "Sir?" Pete Collins said nervously. "They're sending us a message." Zach's voice came through the communication system, translated into English by the Chitauri computers. "Primitive humans, you will submit to our authority. Your species shows potential for profitable exploitation. Surrender now, and your integration into our trade network will be efficient." The bridge fell silent. Every human on the ship understood what they were hearing. These aliens were not here to be friends. They were here to take over. Jake looked around at his crew. They were scared, but they were also angry. Humans did not like being told what to do, especially by strangers who threatened them. "Unknown. Alien vessel," Jake said into the communication system. "You are in violation of Earth's territorial space. You have exactly 60 seconds to withdraw beyond our heliosphere, or we will consider your presence an act of war." On the Chitauri ship, the crew began clicking in what sounded like laughter. Zach could not believe what he was hearing. These tiny creatures were threatening him. His ship could destroy their pathetic vessel with a single shot. "You dare threaten us?" Zach replied. "We possess technology beyond your comprehension." Jake looked at his watch. 55 seconds. What happened next surprised everyone, including the humans themselves. Jake did not order his ship to run away or beg for mercy. Instead, he turned to Amy Parker. "Lieutenant, do we have any options?" Amy had been studying the alien ship since it appeared. Her tactical training kicked in, and she began thinking like a soldier instead of an explorer. "Captain, they're big and powerful, but they're also complex. All that technology might be their weakness. Explain." "The more complicated a system is, the more ways it can break. And they just made a big mistake." "What mistake?" Amy smiled grimly. "They assumed we would surrender. They're not ready for a fight." Jake nodded. "What do you need?" "Give me 30 seconds and one of our survey probes." Jake did not hesitate. "Do it." Amy's fingers flew over her controls. She was reprogramming one of their scientific probes, turning it into something else entirely. The probe was designed to study asteroids and planets, but Amy was modifying its computer systems. "What are you doing to it?" Jake asked. "Teaching it to be curious," Amy said. "Humans are good at adapting, right? Let's see if our machines can learn to adapt too." She launched the probe toward the alien ship. It looked harmless, just a small metal sphere with some sensors attached. Zach saw the probe coming and ordered his weapons to destroy it. But something was wrong. The probe was not flying in a straight line. It was moving in random patterns, changing direction in ways that made no sense. "Destroy that thing," Zach commanded. His crew fired their energy weapons, but the probe dodged and weaved like it was alive. It was using its small thrusters in ways that should not have been possible. Powered by Amy's creative programming, the probe reached the alien ship and attached itself to the hull. Immediately, the Chitauri ship's systems began to malfunction. Lights flickered, alarms rang, and computer screens showed error messages. "What is happening?" Zach demanded. His technical officer was working frantically at his station. "The probe is some kind of computer virus. It's spreading through our systems, learning how they work, and then breaking them." Amy had done something that should have been impossible. She had created a virus that could adapt to alien technology it had never seen before. The virus was using the same curiosity and adaptability that made humans special. "Sir," the technical officer reported, "life support is failing. Navigation is down. Weapons are offline." Zach panicked. In his fear, he made the worst mistake possible. He transmitted all of his ship's technical data to the human vessel, hoping to show them how superior his technology was and force them to surrender. Instead, Amy Parker received a complete guide to advanced alien technology. Within minutes, she understood how their power systems worked, how their weapons functioned, and most importantly, how to break them. "Captain," Amy said calmly, "I'm reading critical weaknesses in their power distribution. If we target these specific points with our remaining probes, we can disable their entire ship." Jake could hardly believe what he was hearing. His tiny ship was somehow winning against an enemy that should have been impossible to defeat. "Do it," he ordered Dot. The Horizon launched its remaining probes, each one programmed with the information Amy had extracted from the alien ship. The probes attached themselves to key points on the Chitauri vessel, and within minutes, the massive alien ship was powerless and drifting. Zack had no choice but to retreat. His ship limped away using emergency power, while the small human vessel watched them go. "Captain," Amy said quietly, "I think we just started something big." Jake nodded, looking at the data they had gathered. "Get me a channel to Earth. Command is going to want to hear about this." As the Horizon headed home, its computers full of alien technology secrets, Jake realized that humanity had just announced itself to the galaxy in the most dramatic way possible. News of the encounter between humans and the Chitauri ship spread across the galaxy faster than anyone expected. The impossible had happened. A primitive human vessel had defeated an advanced alien warship without firing a single weapon. In the Great Council chambers, emergency meetings were called every day. Representatives from all 7 major species gathered to discuss what they were now calling the human problem. General Scar of the Vorticons stood before a massive display, screens showing the battle data that the Chitauri had reluctantly shared. His reptilian features showed confusion and worry as he explained what had happened. The humans did not win through superior weapons or stronger shields, Scar said, his voice carrying a nervous edge that his species rarely showed. They won by thinking differently than we expected. Council leader Zix of the Zephyrians leaned forward, his crystal body reflecting the light from the screen. "Elaborate, General. How does inferior technology defeat superior technology?" Scar touched the screen, and the battle played out in slow motion. "Watch here." When faced with overwhelming firepower, the humans did not try to match it. Instead, they made themselves unpredictable. The display showed the small human probe weaving through alien weapons fire like it was dancing. Every movement seemed random, but somehow it avoided every shot. "This should not be possible," declared the Aquatic Federation representative. "Our computers calculate firing solutions based on physics and probability. Nothing can dodge our weapons." "Like that, the humans can," Scar replied grimly. "But that is not the worst part. Look at what happened next." The screen showed the probe attaching to the Chitauri ship and the subsequent system failures. They created a computer virus that learned how to attack our technology while it was attacking. It adapted in real time to systems it had never seen before. The council chamber fell silent. The idea of software that could teach itself to destroy alien technology was terrifying to species that relied heavily on their advanced computers. "Surely, this was just luck," suggested the Mineral Collective delegate. "One incident does not prove anything." But even as they spoke, more reports were coming in. Human ships were appearing throughout their solar system, each one more advanced than the last. Earth's governments had taken the alien technology data that Amy Parker had captured and shared it with their best scientists and engineers. Within weeks, human spacecraft were flying faster and farther than should have been possible. But they were not simply copying alien designs. They were improving them. Dr. Carl Peterson, working in a laboratory in Geneva, had taken Chitauri power cell technology and made it 30% more efficient by using human manufacturing techniques that the aliens had never considered. Engineer Linda Torres in Houston had combined alien metal alloys with human carbon fiber to create hull materials that were stronger and lighter than anything that Chitauri had built. Most disturbing to the Galactic Council, the humans were not keeping these improvements to themselves. They were sharing the technology freely among their own people, something that no other species did. They are advancing too quickly, Zix observed. At this rate, they will match our technology within years instead of centuries. But the real shock came when the first human ship appeared at a Chitauri trading station near the edge of their solar system. The vessel was crude compared to alien standards, but it was undeniably using faster-than-light travel technology. Captain Bob Martinez commanded the Earthship Explorer. He had volunteered for humanity's first diplomatic mission to make contact with alien traders. His ship was small, and his crew was nervous, but they carried something that made them confident: knowledge. The Chitauri station commander, a being called Vec, was stunned when the human ship requested permission to dock. According to all their information, humans should not have been capable of interstellar travel for at least another 100 years. "How did you get here?" Vec asked when Captain Martinez came aboard the station. Martinez smiled the kind of smile that humans wore when they knew something others did not. "We learned from our mistakes." "And we learned from your mistakes too." What Vec discovered next horrified him. The humans had not only reverse-engineered Chitauri technology, they had found ways to make it work better. Their faster-than-light drive was more stable than the Chitauri version. Their computer systems were harder to hack. Their life support systems used less power. "This is impossible," Vec clicked nervously. "You have had this technology for only months. We have been developing it for thousands of years." "That's exactly why we could improve it," Martinez explained. "You've been building on the same ideas for so long that you stopped looking for new approaches. We started fresh." Within days of that first contact, human ships were appearing at trading stations across the galaxy. They came not as conquerors, but as customers and competitors. They wanted to buy alien goods, but they also wanted to sell human products. And human products were selling very well. Human art was unlike anything the galaxy had seen. Human music created emotional responses in alien listeners that their own art could not match. Human food flavors were exotic and appealing to many species, but most valuable of all were human ideas. Humans looked at old problems with fresh eyes and found solutions that had escaped alien scientists for generations. Dr. Rachel Kim, working with Zephyrian crystal technology, discovered a new way to grow the crystals that made them twice as strong. Engineer Paul Adams found a method to repair Vortic armor that was faster and cheaper than the original manufacturing process. The reports reaching the Galactic Council grew more alarming. Each day, humans were not just participating in galactic trade, they were changing it. Their innovations were making other species' products obsolete. "They are disrupting our entire economic system," complained the Chitauri trade representative. "Our customers are starting to prefer human alternatives to our traditional products." General Scar had even worse news. Human ships are exploring beyond the known trade routes. They are finding new planets, new resources, new jump routes that we missed in thousands of years of space travel. "How is that possible?" Zix demanded. "They think differently about navigation," Scar explained. "We plot courses based on known safe routes. Humans plot courses based on mathematical possibilities. They are willing to take risks that we consider unacceptable. And those risks were paying off. Human exploration teams were discovering habitable planets and star systems that other species had written off as worthless. They were finding mineral deposits in asteroid fields that had been ignored for centuries. Captain Diana Shun, commanding the survey ship Discovery, had found 3 new worlds, suitable for colonization in just 1 month of exploration. Her technique was simple. Instead of avoiding dangerous areas of space, she flew through them with better shields and more careful planning. The Galactic Council faced a reality they had never imagined. In less than a year, humans had gone from primitive isolation to becoming major players in galactic civilization, and they showed no signs of slowing down. "What do we do about them?" asked the Mineral Collective delegate. Ambassador Keth, who had been quietly attending these emergency sessions, finally spoke up. "I told you this would happen. Humans do not simply join existing systems. They transform them. Can we stop them?" General Scar asked. Keth's ancient eyes held sadness and resignation. "Stop them from what?" "They are not conquering our worlds or destroying our people. They are simply being human. They explore, they adapt, they improve everything they touch." "But they are changing everything," Zix protested. "Yes," Keth agreed, "and perhaps that is not entirely bad. When did we stop trying to improve? When did we become satisfied with doing things the same way for thousands of years?" The council members looked uncomfortable. The truth was that galactic civilization had become stagnant. The same species had controlled the same territories and used the same technologies for so long that innovation had nearly stopped. Now humans were bringing new energy to everything. Their eagerness to learn and improve was infectious. Other species were starting to ask questions they had not asked in centuries. Young Zephyrians were experimenting with human-inspired crystal growing techniques. Vortic engineers were testing human ideas about armor design. Even the conservative Aquatic Federation was trying human methods of underwater construction. "They are not just changing our technology," Keth observed. "They are changing how we think about technology." As if to prove his point, a new report arrived during the meeting. A joint human Zephyrian research team had just solved a mathematical problem that had puzzled galactic scientists for over 1,000 years. The solution combined human intuitive thinking with Zephyrian computational power. "The question," Keth continued, "is not whether we can stop them. The question is whether we want to learn from them." General Scar slammed his clawed hand on the table. "They are making us look like fossils. Our own people are starting to ask why we cannot innovate like humans do." "Maybe," Keth said quietly, "that is exactly what we needed to hear." The council session ended without any decisions being made. How could they decide what to do about a species that was not threatening them with war, but was instead challenging them to be better than they had been in centuries? 5 years had passed since Captain Jake Morrison first encountered the Chitauri ship near Neptune. The galaxy had changed in ways that no one could have predicted. The council chambers that once echoed with the voices of 7 ancient species now had to make room for an 8th member who had risen faster than anyone thought possible. Admiral Lisa Grant stood at the entrance to the Great Council Hall, wearing the blue uniform of Earth's new Galactic Relations Department. Behind her diplomatic credentials lay a truth that everyone in the room understood. Humanity now commanded the most advanced and largest fleet in known space. She was not the same species that had been dismissed as primitive just years before. Lisa had served as a fighter pilot during Earth's last major conflict, then trained as a diplomat when humanity realized they needed to talk to aliens as well as fight them. She was calm, intelligent, and carried herself with the quiet confidence that made other species nervous. "Honored council members," Lisa began as she walked to the center of the chamber. "Earth formally requests full membership in the Galactic Council." The irony was not lost on anyone present. The species they had ignored and underestimated was now in a position to make demands. Rather than requests, Council Leader Zix's crystal form glowed brighter as he considered the situation. "Admiral Grant, your species has certainly made remarkable progress, but membership in this council requires more than technological advancement." "What does it require?" Lisa asked politely. "Stability," General Scar interjected from his seat. The ability to govern wisely. Respect for established order. Lisa smiled, and that smile contained both reassurance and warning. General, I think, you'll find that humans have brought more stability to this galaxy than it has seen in centuries. She was right, and everyone knew it. The galaxy was more peaceful now than it had been in generations, but not because of military force. Human traders had established new economic partnerships that made war less profitable than cooperation. Human explorers had found new worlds that reduced competition for resources. Human scientists had solved problems that had caused conflicts. For thousands of years, the Chitauri trade representative, who had reluctantly become one of humanity's biggest supporters, spoke up. The humans have revolutionized galactic commerce. Trade volume has increased by 40% since they joined the market. And exploration has advanced more in 5 years than in the previous 50, added the representative from the Mineral Collective. Human survey teams have discovered resources that will benefit all our species. But the real transformation went deeper than economics or exploration. Humanity had changed how the galaxy thought about cooperation itself. Dr. Susan Reed led research station in the Andromeda sector, where scientists from 6 different species worked together on projects that none of them could have completed alone. The station had made breakthroughs in medicine, physics, and biology that were already improving life across the galaxy. Captain Tom Wilson commanded a rescue fleet that responded to emergencies throughout known space. His ships were crewed by volunteers from dozens of species, all working together to save lives regardless of what planet someone came from. Engineer Nancy Scott had designed the new jump gate network that connected distant parts of the galaxy. Using a combination of human engineering and alien materials that made faster-than-light travel safer and more efficient for everyone. The question, Lisa continued, is not whether humanity deserves a place in galactic civilization. The question is what kind of galaxy we want to build together. Ambassador Keth, now the oldest member of the council, raised his ancient hand. Admiral Grant, what do humans want from us? What are your intentions for the future? Lisa turned to face the old precursor directly. We want what we've always wanted, Ambassador. We want to explore, to learn, to grow, to help others do the same. The difference is that now we have an entire galaxy to do it in. And our established territories? General Scar asked carefully. Will remain yours, as long as they're well governed? Lisa replied, but space is vast, General. There's room for everyone to prosper if we work together instead of competing. The truth was that human expansion had been remarkably peaceful. Instead of conquering existing worlds, humans had focused on terraforming planets that other species considered worthless. Instead of challenging established governments, they had offered technological assistance and trade partnerships. The planet New Geneva was a perfect example. Humans had taken a dead rock in an empty star system and turned it into a thriving world. Using advanced terraforming techniques developed with help from 4 different alien species. The planet now served as a neutral meeting ground where different species could conduct business and research together. But perhaps the most impressive human achievement was their approach to education. The Human Galactic University on New Geneva taught students from dozens of species, sharing knowledge freely instead of keeping it secret. Young aliens were learning human techniques for problem-solving and innovation, while human students learned about alien cultures and technologies. Sharing of knowledge was creating a new generation of galactic citizens who thought differently about cooperation and competition. Species that had been rivals for centuries were now collaborating on projects that benefited everyone. There is something else we should discuss, Zix said, his crystal form dimming slightly. Your military capabilities, Lisa nodded. Our fleet is large and advanced, yes. But I think you'll find that our approach to security is different from what you might expect. She was referring to the Human Defense Initiative, which had surprised everyone with its focus on protection rather than conquest. Human warships were designed primarily for rescue operations, disaster relief, and defending trade routes from pirates. Instead of building weapons to attack other species, humans had built defenses to protect all species. The most famous example was the Battle of Kepler Station, where a human fleet had defended a Zephyrian research facility from raiders without being asked and without expecting payment. Captain Steve Parker had simply said that protecting innocent scientists was the right thing to do. Your people seem to have a different definition of strength than most species, General Scar observed. Strength without wisdom is just destruction. Lisa replied, humans learned that lesson the hard way during our own wars. Real strength comes from building things up, not tearing them down. The council members exchanged glances. This was not how they had expected this conversation to go. They had prepared for negotiations with a conquering species, but instead found themselves talking to partners who wanted to improve things for everyone. There is one more thing, Lisa said. Humans believe that this council has become too focused on maintaining the status quo. The galaxy has so much potential that remains unexplored. She activated a holographic display that showed star charts extending far beyond known space. There are entire regions of the galaxy that none of us have explored. New species to meet, new worlds to discover, new knowledge to gain. That sounds dangerous, the Aquatic Federation representative said nervously. Everything worthwhile is a little dangerous, Lisa replied. But that's why we do it together. Human courage, Zephyrian. Technology, Vortic military expertise, Chitauri logistics. Imagine what we could accomplish if we stopped worrying about protecting our territories and started working to expand our horizons. The old ways were dying, but perhaps that was not entirely bad. Under human influence, the galaxy was becoming more dynamic, more cooperative, more hopeful than it had been in thousands of years. What are you proposing, Admiral? Zix asked. A new age of exploration and cooperation, Lisa said. Joint missions to unexplored regions. Shared research projects that benefit all species. Trade agreements that help everyone prosper. And most importantly, a commitment to help each other become better than we are individually. Ambassador Keth spoke quietly. The warning I gave years ago was ignored. But perhaps that was meant to happen. Perhaps the galaxy needed humans to wake us up from our long sleep. General Scar looked around the chamber. And if we vote against human membership? Lisa's smile never wavered. Then humans will continue to explore, innovate, and build relationships with individual species and colonies. But we'd prefer to do it as part of a united galactic community. It was not a threat, but it was a clear statement of reality. Humans did not need the Council's permission to continue being human. They would explore and grow and help others regardless of official recognition. The vote was called. One by one, each species cast their decision. The Zephyrians voted yes, recognizing human contributions to science and technology. The Vorticons voted yes, respecting human military ethics and protection of innocent lives. The Chitauri voted yes, grateful for increased trade and prosperity. All 7 species voted to accept Earth as the 8th full member of the Galactic Council. The old order was ending, but the new order promised to be far more interesting. Humanity had not conquered the galaxy through superior firepower. They had transformed it through superior ideas about cooperation, innovation, and what it meant to be part of something larger than yourself. As the session ended, Ambassador Keth approached. Admiral Grant privately. My people's warning was ignored, but perhaps that was for the best.